It is time to get into our NFC East breakdown, and we kick things off with the Dallas Cowboys, and their schedule looks like this, including 5 primetime games, 1 to kick off the season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, week 3 against the Giants on Monday Night Football, week 6 against the Eagles, and then they got 2 towards the end of the season, 1 against the Colts, 1 against Tennessee. We can't forget that Thanksgiving Day matchup against the New York Football Giants. Dylan, start with you here, buddy. What is the storyline for the Dallas Cowboys heading into the 2022 season?
I think it's make or break for Mike McCarthy. I do. I mean, this is a guy, he's a head football coach, been around the block for a while, right? He's been with Green Bay, he's been with Dallas, and here he is, right? Last year was his first winning season since 2016. Let that sink in. I know he took a year off, but he lost 3 straight years in Green Bay before getting canned in week 13 of his final run there. This is a head coach he's been accredited. He's won a Super Bowl. He's got a lot on his track record, but he has to start getting it done. And this is a team that has loads of talent. And I know they didn't do much in free agency. They didn't do a lot in the draft either. This is a team that needs to start winning football games. And, I mean, that fan base is dying for something. They're sick and tired of hearing, it's been forever, now same old Cowboys, get in the playoffs and get your ass kicked. Like, it needs to change right now for Dallas. So, for me, it's make or break for Mike McCarthy. That's the storyline heading into this season for the Cowboys.
So, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, and Mike McCarthy obviously had a losing season to start his career in Dallas and then lost in the first game of the playoffs last year. Dylan, if you're the Cowboys, actually, I'll send this to Jerry Jones himself. Jerry, I know you're listening. If you see Mike McCarthy not win a playoff game this year, are you firing your head coach?
Well, listen, I like Mike. Mike's a good guy. We've gone back for years and years in this wonderful game of football. And, I think he's done a good job with the personnel that's down there and what he and Kellen have been able to put together. But when I look at this team and the makeup that we have, I do believe it is a playoff worthy and a Super Bowl worthy type team. And I think Mike McCarthy is the guy to get us there. And if, this doesn't happen to be the year, none of us are going to be happy. And that includes Mike McCarthy himself. But we'll get back in the war room. We'll hang out on my yacht. We'll talk it through and we'll figure it out. I don't think Mike McCarthy is going anywhere anytime soon. And I do believe he's got the chops to get us to the promised land.
This guy is the best. He's the best. That was not even planned, and he still did it with flying colors. What a hero. I do agree that I think this is a make or break year for Mike McCarthy, because with all that they have on this team, you have to be able to at least win a playoff game. You have to show improvement with this team, and you made the playoffs last year. Great. But you have to go over the hump. And their schedule, it's not a crazy tough schedule to say they can't make the playoffs. Tampa Bay to start the season is tough. The Bengals the following week is tough. But then you have the Giants, and you have a Commanders team I think is still figuring out who they're going to be at week 4. Then you have the Rams and Eagles. Okay, those are 2 tough games. Detroit, Chicago. You have Jacksonville on this list. The Texans, a Tennessee Titans team that we think is slumping. They can make the playoffs. This Cowboys team, there's no reason why they should not make the playoffs this year. And I do think that with an NFC that is a lot of us are saying is a weaker conference opposed to the AFC, if they can't win a playoff game, I think that's got to be the biggest storyline for Mike McCarthy and whether or not we see him next year. AJ, what about you? What's your storyline?
So my storyline is something that would directly lead to what you guys think may happen, and is Ezekiel Elliott going to return to form? This is a guy who we've seen as one of the best running backs in the NFL, and a lot of people believe he still can be. But since 2018, his yards, his totals per season have gone down. You see what he's done over the combined of 2016 to 2020. Last year, just a 58.9 yards per game. Only 10 touchdowns is great. He can still get it done near the goal line, and that was a lot that attributed to that. And a lot of people had things to say about Zeke and his decline and everything. We understand how running backs go, but he did get over 1,000 yards last season. It just wasn't in beautiful fashion. He shared a lot of time with Tony Pollard, who came on strong last season. He only had 2 100-yard games, and I think there was 9 games where it was less than or just at 50 yards, and that's not going to get it done. Now, I'm not one of those people who are coming in this season saying Tony Pollard's going to be the starter. Dallas enjoys having these 2 running backs, and what Ezekiel Elliott brings to not only that locker room but his presence on the field, because you have to respect him as a runner. that is going to be the way that team is gone. So don't look at this season and think about what Zeke has done and be like he's on his way out. With that being said, this is a contract year. And if he can't be in a certain area, if he can't be I'm not saying he has to be a top 5 back in the league, but he has to look like some form of the Zeke Elliott that we've seen from 2016 and 2018 and be a reason that they are winning games. So I look at Zeke Elliott, and I think what he has to do on this offense is going to be a lot on how successful they can be.
I think this is bogus. I think this topic right here is bogus when you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys and the outlook for 2022. Look, Zeke is done. Like, this is not the Zeke that you're not getting that old Zeke back, right? This is, I mean, stop, Vinny. Stop. I'm not saying the guy's like completely thrown out or anything. I'm saying look at his number. It's a proven fact. His yards
just
per carry.
Said he's done.
No, yeah. Here's backing up my point. 108 yards per game to 98 to 95 to 84 to 65 and then 58.9. Every year it's getting down and down and down. Again, right here, Aaron brings up the point. Tony Pollard will never be a number 1 running back, right? It doesn't matter. That's not the way it works. It's not going to be a hammer attack from Zeke Elliott. That's not how McCarthy did it. You look at how he finished his tenure in Green Bay. It was a mixture of Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams. Drove fantasy owners nuts the way he was using both of them. That's how he does it here. Zeke Elliott's not going to be the hammer he was when he was in his prime. You don't need him to get back to where he is. He is showing what he is right now, which is going to be that guy that gets 4.2 yards per game. And he's going to just plow whenever he gets a chance, score touchdowns, and be that lead back. But they're going to continue to mix it in. And he's not going to be that number 1 hammer that he used to be.
But that's what I said. I said he's going to split time with Tony Pollard. It's not going to be only. Tony Pollard is going to get run. He's a great running back. But at the same time, Zeke doesn't have to get back to 90 yards a game and 100 yards a game. But he can't be half-torn PCL 60 yards a game. If Ezekiel Elliott's running 85 yards a game, Tony Pollard's doing his thing, and let's not forget, they're going to be throwing the ball all over the field, but you can't just throw the ball. These guys have to be able to run so this passing attack can get good. Now, I say what you will about Amari Cooper. Excuse me, Amari Cooper leaving. It's a big deal in a sense, but I believe in what CeeDee Lamb has. I think it's a big deal that Cedric Wilson's gone because I really like what he would have brought to the table after letting Amari Cooper go. But with CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, these guys having the 2 receivers on the outside, you have to have a solid running game. So Zeke has to get back to some sort of a Zeke form and be at least 50% better than he was this year for them to be the threat that they need to be.
I think I am all aboard what you just said, AJ, and I think that 13 carries a game, roughly 14 carries a game for Ezekiel Elliott. And you look at those numbers that we brought up in the graphic. His usage is completely down. But if you were to actually do the math here, Dylan, if he were to have gotten the same carries and the same usage that he has gotten in the past and between those 2016 and 2020, his numbers would be right on par with what he has done from 2016 to 2020. His yards would be right on par with that 89 yards per game and with more touchdowns. I don't think Ezekiel Elliott is done.
McCarthy. He's not going to get that.
That's the thing, though. That's where it is. If you would have started off by saying that Ezekiel Elliott is not going to be the same running back because of Mike McCarthy, and if you were to go on about how McCarthy and his usage
of Ezekiel Elliott is Aaron Jones. I brought that point up, Vinny.
But you started things off with Ezekiel Elliott is done. Those were your words.
Because he's not going to be that hammer that he used to be. He's not going to be the guy that carries the bulk of the game and gets you down there and just loads up with his yards per attempt.
But that's not what they're. That's not what the. I don't think that's what the Cowboys need him to be anymore.
They don't.
But that's
why are you excoriating him for it?
Can he return to form? He's not returning to form because he's not getting those touches that he used to get when he was returning.
I didn't say the rookie form. He has to be a solid, statured running back one.
What did he do wrong last year that didn't prove that?
Well, last year,
I'd argue last year was better than the year before. That 2020 season, he was bad. That 2020 season, he had his lowest yards per attempt in 4.0.
He was also out for 6 games, if I'm not mistaken.
He started 15 games that year, rushed for under 1,000 for the first time in his career.
I think
so. He was trash in 2020. He returned to form last year. Granted, he got 1,002 yards. Aaron saying, "We're going to running backs, got 1,000 yards." They played 17 games last year. Chill out with that shit.
I think the biggest thing here, and I guess it is to more so argue with AJ's point than anything. I do agree. I don't think, like, I've been hearing all the time about how Zeke is done, or he's never going to be able to return to his that rookie year Zeke, or this and that, and everyone kind of hating and downgrading Ezekiel Elliott in a year where he still had 1,000 yards, where his attempts were down. He still was able to get 1,000 yards. He's still an efficient runner. They're just not using him as much, and that's fine. That is perfectly fine. I don't think the story is whether Zeke, the storyline for the season is whether Zeke can be Zeke or not. I think the storyline is whether or not the play calling can be to the level of what these other great coaching staffs, and it's not even just Mike McCarthy. It's Kellen Moore, who's a very young offensive coordinator in this league, who still has a lot to learn in this league, especially when you're going up against the teams like a San Francisco 49ers, where they're coached by Kyle Shanahan, a guru on the offensive side of the ball. You're going up against these teams with a lot more experience in the offensive play calling. That's where the storyline is for the Dallas Cowboys, is can you keep pace on offense with the play calling and calling, I don't know if I said calling the correct plays, but making the right decisions on offense to keep up with your Los Angeles Rams, with the San Francisco 49ers, with the Arizona teams like that. That's where I see it falling.
To make Aaron happy and answer his question, there were 3 running backs last season who went for over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott, Joe Mixon, and Jonathan Taylor. The only 3 that did it.
Pretty good company. It's pretty good company right there for a running back who's done. That's right there. Let's take a look at the standings here and what we have for the Dallas Cowboys. 12-5 for Aaron, 11-6 for AJ, 10-7 for Dylan, and 12-5 for myself. Dylan, you have 2 more losses than myself and Aaron, and 1 more loss than AJ. Where are the Dallas Cowboys losses coming from? Please, for the love of Jesus Christ, give me just the losses and not run down their schedule.
Well, you know me. I always go through their schedule when I do
know
this
you.
thing.
That's why I had a preface. Please don't go down the schedule of wins and losses. Just give me their losses, please.
Well, sir, I'm gonna.
Okay, go through the schedule then. Break it down, Dylan. Break it down.
All right. Well, I got them after the Rams. I think I got them at 3-2. Philadelphia, they'll drop 3-3. That's a tough game.
So you had them
Detroit,
losing to Tampa and losing to the Rams. And losing to Cincinnati?
See, that's a toss-up. Either Cincinnati or one of those division opponents, whether it's New York or Washington. Like I said, I don't crunch game by game. I look at all right, well, they could win that one or they'll win those. So anyway, got them 500 at Philly. They beat Chicago. They beat Detroit. There they go. 5-3 at the bye. Get their ass kicked by Green Bay. Return to Mike McCarthy there. 5-4. Minnesota, I got them winning. 6-4. I got them beating the Giants. 7-4. Losing to Indianapolis. 7-5. Beating Houston, beating Jacksonville, 9-5. I got them losing to Philly again, 9-6. Got them beating Tennessee and losing to Washington, 10-7.
Did you have them beating? So you have Philly sweeping the Cowboys?
I do.
Or did you? Wow. I got to get into that. Why? Because we're gonna go into Philly next. So I gotta know, why do you have we talk about on this show all the time about how it is so hard to sweep divisional opponents, even if they're the worst divisional opponents, like a Jacksonville Jaguars sweeping the Indianapolis Colts or the Colts sweeping the Jaguars. It's hard to do that. You have the Eagles sweeping a very good Cowboys team.
I do. I just think the Eagles are better. And I'll get into that later. I truly believe in the Philadelphia Eagles team this year. And I know what you want to say. I'm sure Aaron's going to say some shit. But once again, here's his fandom coming in. Shots fired. But, here we go. I seriously do. I think the Eagles can get them twice. I think the way the schedule's broken up, Eagles at home on a primetime game, and then you get Dallas later on in the year, I think that helps them out as well. Eagles are going to be hungry. I'm serious. I truly believe the Eagles can get the Cowboys twice this year.
Can and will are 2 different things, is what I'll say.
Yeah,
I mean, any team
I'm not buying this.
can get, but I don't know if they will. That division just beats up on itself too much every year. So It's hard to believe that all of a sudden, even as good as I also believe Philly will be, to just believe that they're going to be swept when this division hasn't even had the same division winner in like 10 or something years like that. Like, I don't see a sweep coming through this division, despite how good they've all been at some point in time, has never been good enough to just sweep the other side. So, right. Except for putrid Giants every now and then.
So, offense, Eagles better offense or the Cowboys better offense, Dylan?
Oh gosh, Eagles. I mean, no, not Eagles. Cowboys. Sorry,
that's tough.
All right.
I think I would give the edge to the Cowboys slightly.
But I'll say
slightly. I agree.
I'll say defense. Not even close. It's Philly.
Yeah, that's
not
Philly.
Even close. It's Philly.
That's Philly. That like honestly, like, so I remember Sherm was on here the last time we talked about the Eagles, and I know you're gonna send it over there. Sherm was on here the last time we talked about the Eagles. Aaron agreed with them when I thought their defense was much better than they were getting credit for. And then they got what they got in the draft. And then they added James Bradberry. This defense is going to be legit. Like, I don't see any other way around it unless you're looking at this squad and they go through the injury gauntlet that everybody else does. But again, I know we need to transfer to them. So if you want to do your normal transition, we can jump in.
I like the addition of James Bradberry. I still think that I think as much hate as we give Mike McCarthy, I think Mike McCarthy is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. And as of right now, and I think their offense is better. Sure, you give the defense to them, but then it comes down to coaching, and Mike McCarthy gets the edge. I just don't see a sweep. That's hard to see, man.
I don't see a sweep.
Hello? Can I say something?
Down in the bottom. Make it quick. Make it snappy.
6-0 in division last year. Cool. The Cowboys didn't do shit to get better, and the Eagles did, and a bunch of other teams in that division did. So not going to go 6-0 this year, bud.
They didn't do much. They did a few things. They did not do much.
I think with the Cowboys, I think with the Cowboys it's a little bit different of like a developing, like their team is still developing, like right. their pieces. That is their growth right there. Is another year under Trayvon Diggs' belt, another year under Micah Parsons' belt. CeeDee Lamb stepping. I think CeeDee Lamb could be a better wide receiver than Amari Cooper. So
I said that last season.
There.
I agree with you there.
So
that offense isn't. That's not a question. Dylan, I don't see the sweep either. Again, like, I understand the can. I don't believe in the will of the sweep for them. Yeah. And I guess I forgot the Cowboys were 6-0 last year, but I'm wondering if they played earlier, if they did that same thing at the end of the season, they played them 3 more times or whatever, because I know Philly ended up being a much different team than they were when they started the season.
They played at the beginning of the year. Dallas won 41-21.
Yeah.
And then they played at the end of the year, and Dallas won 51-26. So
well, maybe they were the same.
You really are just that Dallas. That if this is the same Dallas Cowboys team, they beat the shit out of Philadelphia last year. So we'll end on that. Cowboys fans in the comments, let us know what you think. Hate on Dylan, please. Let's make it happen.